Thank you. If we've all taken our seats, so once again, good morning and welcome to this final session of the conference. My name is Bob Day. I'm the Executive Director of Janet at JISC, the UK NREN, I'm sure many know, and presently the Interim CEO at Géant in this period of change. This morning, though, I'm chairing this session along with the former Vice President for Conferences at Terena, Helmut Severniak, who, of course, many of you, if not all of you, will know. Helmut has put a lot of work into preparing this year's conference before his term of office officially ended in Terena, and Terena became part of Géant. So I'm going to hand over to him now to continue this session.
Good morning. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for inviting me to co-chair this closing session together with you on this conference. So we can start. Yes. This conference is organized by Géant and hosted by FCCN, our Portuguese member organization. And this time, I would like to start this session with a thank to FCCN for the great work he did supporting this conference. I would like to invite João Nuno Ferreira, the CEO of this FCT, to accept the certificate of recognition. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We prepare for you. So, thank you again. And we, of course, would like to thank teams of FCCN. And I know you would like to do it itself, please.
Yes, I'd like to thank the team of FCCN. I gave this idea to them and then let all the responsibility on this, to do things to these people. I would like especially to thank the two main coordinators, Ana Afonso and Rui Ribeiro. Unfortunately, Rui Ribeiro could not be here today with us, so but we have here Ana Afonso. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For you, Anna?
Are we doing it? Are you finished? Okay, thank you very much, João Nuno. Let's now just continue with the thanks and take a few minutes to acknowledge the many other people who have also helped to make this event happen so successfully this year. First, the TNC Programme Committee, which has been led by their chair, Klaas Virenga. So, Programme Committee members, I hope many, if not all of you in the hall, could you please stand up and perhaps we can give you all a round of applause. So please.
Yes, the last time this year that I'm going to be at this stage, I promise. But then again, I work for a vendor, so I leave it to you how much these promises are worth. I want to take 1 minute to thank my fellow program committee members. As the chair of this year's program committee, it was a lot of fun working with you guys. Very professional, but also we had a lot of fun together in the program committee meetings. So I want to thank you personally for the very hard work you do. And since I'm at the stage, I also want to say a few words as a participant. We all know how well-oiled the TNC machine is with formerly Terena, now Géant, with the Nordnet streaming, etc. But as a participant, I also want to acknowledge the fantastic reception we got here by the local team. They were always extremely helpful, always smiling, always there to welcome us here in this great city. So I would like to ask you to also give an applause for them.
Thank you, class. And now could I invite the various team leaders to come on stage? So I'm going to read these out in order. So on behalf of the Géant events team, the Nordnet streaming crew, Jonas Lostad, could he come on stage? On behalf of the local conference organisation company, leading that was Claudia Pacifico. And on behalf of the Alfandega Conference Centre here, Albino Pereira Pinheiro. And of course, a very important role on behalf of the Palace Catering, Ana Dures. We've got Anna? No, we will save Anna's gift for later. On behalf of Dimension Data, helping make all this work, Ricardo Cardozo. And last but certainly not least, on behalf of Service Pack, Pedro Madeiros. And finally, on behalf of the whole Géant team, once again, could we extend our thanks to Gyongi Horvath, who has helped so much. Come over here. You have to shuffle along a bit.
On behalf of the organizational side, I would also like to thank everybody. I think it has been a fantastic conference. Thank you for program committee to work with me and standing up to my control freakness. And the same exists also for all the crew. It has been a great pleasure to organize this event together with you all. Thank you so much.
Okay, now I have just one more gift to give before we finished, and this is for my co-chair here, for Helmut. This is to thank you, Helmut, for all the years of hard work that you've put in when you were a member of the Torina Executive Committee and finishing up in this conference here. So please do accept this gift.
Thank you very much.
Our thanks for all your work. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Bob. Thank you very much, Jinji. Thank you, all of you. It was a great pleasure to do this work and to help prepare this conference, especially together with you, with the excellent Jean team. Thank you very much. So now thought it's a time to thank someone whose work has not been related to this conference. His work had a much longer impact to our community. For the past few years, tnc has been a place where we as a community honor people who have made an outstanding contribution to our collaborative work. Such work may be done in projects, task forces, or in special interest groups, of course, or in other collaboration between individuals and organizations. Sharing ideas, developing technologies and services, and all leads ultimately to the benefit of research and education. This year, for the second time, Jean asked you, the community, to nominate people who deserve your recognition. And for the second time, a panel of judges agreed to select a winner. It's my pleasure to invite one of those judges to present this year's award on behalf of them all. CEO of our Portuguese host, João Paulo Nuno, please come on the stage and tell something about it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I'd like to start by thanking the other judges, whose names you see here. Not yet? Okay. Who gave time to consider the nominations. It was not easy to compare the merits and achievements of all the people who were nominated this year, but we did succeed in making a selection. This year's Community Award goes to someone who is not widely known in our community, someone who quietly jumped in on a voluntary basis when some software was required. He developed that software and maintained it with new versions, and that software supported one of our community's major collaborative services for around 6 years. TCS used to be known as the Terena Certificate Service and is now known as the Trusted Certificate Service. TCS helps to increase security in online transactions by facilitating the deployment of digital certificates. Around 6 years ago, the TCS provider's web interface proved very complicated. Software called Djangora was added on top of the secure API. And this software proved essentially in scaling up delivery of certificates. Kent Engstrom was instrumental in putting together Djangora, and with it, the means for delivering thousands of certificates across Europe. This work was voluntary, and that's an outstanding contribution. A new iteration of TCS is about to start from the 1st of July with a new provider. This will have a new web portal which does not require Djangora, but that doesn't mean that Kent's contribution has stopped. Kent has actively participated in the transition phase, testing the main features of the new TCS, giving suggestions about new features and how to improve the service, again on a voluntary basis. Kent has done all this work without seeking the limelight. The panel of judges saw this as a plus. We felt that picking out someone who is not well known, but who is doing something fabulous for the community is what these awards should do. Kent Engstrom, would you please come and collect your Community Award for services to the Trusted Certificate Service?
So I would just like to say thank you for this great prize, and I'll also want to say that this has been a fun ride to work with a lot of talented and dedicated people in the TCS project, both at the Torina Giant level and at the various entrants that have participated. You know who you are. It has been very nice to work together with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So the theme of TNC this year has been connected communities, and we certainly felt, I think, very much like a well-connected community this week. TNC has become ever more global in its reach, and this year has been no different. We particularly appreciate the people that come from all around the world, and we've taken the trouble to be part of this connected community for us this week. Here in Porto, we've welcomed 8 representatives from all world regions who were nominated and received a fellowship to attend. Several European NWENs have kindly contributed funding to this Giant Knowledge Exchange initiative. It's such an important initiative, and so to them in particular, many thanks. In total, we've had a record number of countries here represented here in Porto once again. This year it's 59 countries. And of course, we've all been using EduRoam. We have some statistics about that, and you can see them on the screen, so I'm not going to read them all out to you, but there's a lot of it, I think. That's what that graph tells us. And there's been Wi-Fi provided, and that's worked seamlessly throughout the whole of our conference here this week. Remote participation has also been very successful again, and we've had many viewers for our web pages and live streams, as you can see. And this is, of course, all depended on the network infrastructure that underpins it. That perhaps isn't the best example I've ever seen of wiring. Some of my own NOC engineers would tut very much about that, but it has worked. That's the important thing. So with many speakers, with sessions, posters, demonstrations, and so on, thank you to everyone who has contributed their time and their expertise. And of course, special thanks to our keynote speakers, whose names we have on the slide here. And also to our sponsors, who also shown on this slide. We have many sponsors, and of course, without sponsors who generously contribute to our activity, it would be not possible to do anything like the scale of conference that we have here. So thank you very much to them as well. So let me now just hand over to Helmut, who will introduce another set and a new set, but an important set of awards that we want to mark at this closing session. So over to you, Helmut.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This year, for first time, we have another set of awards to present to you. I would like to invite Valentino Cavalli, the chair of the Board of Trustees of the Fitch Foundation, to tell you about it. Valentino, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I'd like to thank the TNC organizers for giving me the opportunity to be on stage now and fulfill the wish expressed by the late Secretary General of Torina, my missed colleague Karel Fitch. The Fitch Foundation is a charity, as many of you know, that was established by the will of Karel with the objective of promoting research and development of advanced internet technology for scientific research and higher education. Karel instructed the board on awarding a Medal of Honor to people who contributed, to use his own words, to the development of a service, technology or approach that will be of lasting value to the research and education networking community and its users. He also expressed the wish that the medal was awarded at a prominent European networking event. So which other event could we choose if not TNC? In my capacity as chair of the board of Fitch Foundation, I'm delighted to say that we received a large number of nominations in response to our call, We assessed them and we have chosen to award the 2015 medal not to one, but to two equally deserving recipients because of outstanding contributions made during their career to the development of the Internet. Ladies and gentlemen, without much ado and without any particular order of preference, let me start with the first award. As Chief Regulatory Advisor at JISC, he contributed to the establishment of TF-CERT, the European Forum for Security Incident Response. More recently, his interest in legal matters put him in a unique position to bring together computer security and legal disciplines. He was instrumental to the creation of the successful Transits course, which has trained more than 500 individuals around the world. Many of you will have already understood that the medal goes to Andrew Cormack. So, sadly, Andrew could not participate in DNC this year as he is attending the first conference in Berlin, where he is actually presenting, as we speak, on privacy and security matter. But even if he cannot be here in person, he sent a message that I would like you to listen to.
I'm really sorry I can't be with you in Porto. When you hear this, I'll be in Berlin helping incident responders with data protection law. Receiving this award is wonderful, but it's even more special that it's in memory of Karel Veach. Karel introduced me to this community 16 years ago, and I came to regard him as a friend as well as close colleague in many of the activities mentioned in my citation. Sadly, I can't thank him anymore, but I can thank my employers for encouraging my curiosity on how the internet can be made to work for lawyers, humans and geeks, and thank all of you, whichever of those categories you're in, for explaining what you're doing, putting up with my questions and apparently finding the results worthwhile.
And now, let's move on. Let me announce the other recipient of the medal of the Fitch Foundation, a senior researcher at the University of Umeå in Sweden. He has played a key role in contributing his expertise from the research and education networking community to standard industry development of federation identity management. He developed the OpenID Connect Conformance Test Suite, which was adopted by the OpenID Foundation and became de facto reference implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, the medal of the Fitch Foundation goes to Roland Hedberg. And now, where are the medals? Ladies and gentlemen, the Fitch Foundation has the objective to stimulate innovation, and we relied on this for the medal. It was designed with a CAD package and printed using 3D printing techniques. As we all know, innovation sometimes carries unexpected results, and one result is that the medal has not yet arrived. So, being quick to innovate even further, we are pleased to present the first virtual medal of the Fitch Foundation. Roland, the medal is on its way. Thank you very much. Do it again. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to take just another few seconds before I give the floor back to the session chair. It's an important message. You all must have seen a flyer like this, in which the Fitch Foundation is actually encouraging people to get in touch with me or with my colleague John Dyer, who's in the audience, known to many of you, to discuss the possibility of getting some funding contributions for projects that can demonstrate their potential value to progress European and global research and education networking. If you are running such a project or you know of a project that would fit, please get in touch with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Valentino. Thank you again. And now it's the time to introduce our keynote speaker. João Paulo Cunha is an associate professor at the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the University of Porto. and his talk is called A Living Lab for Future Internet in Future Cities. João, please.
Thank you very much. Okay, let me start by thanking the organization for inviting me to be here to present you a little bit of how we are making Porto a living lab for future internet research and innovation. Well, welcome to the best city in the world. Yeah, I know I'm biased. I was born here, raised here, then went around the world a little bit and came back here around 3 years ago. And a part of my life has been also lived in another city, a little 70 kilometers south from here. But I mean, this is my city, so welcome to the best city in the world. Okay, let's look at, not at me, but what Europeans say about Porto. Twice they elected Porto the best European destination. And so, I know I was biased, but not that much. So Porto is not only the World Heritage Center that we are in, so this building is part of it, so the UNESCO has elected Porto Center as a World Heritage, but also it's more than that. If you go a little bit further, down the river and on the right, you will have the shore. So you'll have the sea, the Atlantic, which is also a very nice place to visit, and you can take a nice bus with internet from here to there. Actually, this is where I work. Yeah, I work there. I have access to the free internet of Porto there. And actually, when I'm not in a lab or not teaching or not traveling, because these days we travel a lot, I'm exactly here. And sometimes we have nice views at evening. And Porto is not only that. It's more than that. In 4 days, we will have the big party of Porto called São João, which everyone goes to the streets and commemorates the, well, they say it's the São João, which is a Catholic saint, but it's a mixture between Catholic saints and also pagan commemoration of the solstice. So we all party, and you will see very, very incredible happenings during the next days. Actually, it starts tomorrow, okay? So I invite you all to stay. Change your plans if you are going tomorrow. Don't go. Stay 3 more or 4 more days, okay? Well, my university, the University of Porto, it's an old university, a more or less old university, 14 faculties, around 32,000 students. And it has been in the top 350 universities in the rankings. My faculty offers 47 degrees of engineering, ranging from ambient engineering to chemistry engineering. I'm a member of the electrical and computer department. And I have another appointment within the university with an interface institute, which is called INESC-TEC, which gathers people from 4 universities in the north part of Portugal, and actually acts as an interface between university and the community and the industry. I'm leading there the Center for Biomedical Research, and you should be already thinking biomedical research. What does this has to do with future internet? Well, I hope that at the end, or at least during this presentation, you will find out what is a biomedical researcher doing future internet in the city of Porto. Let me just give you some numbers of Porto. The metropolitan area of Porto is around 1.7 million people. And Porto itself, so the municipality itself, it's around 220,000 people. Apart from all the touristic information that you have got, Porto is basically a merchants city. So it's a city of merchants and of innovators for many years, since ages. And also, some years ago, Porto Digital, a joint venture between the university and the municipality, invested on the infrastructuring of the city, an optical fiber infrastructure. So you have access to, a lot of points in the city where, for example, where I get, that's the place where I get internet while I'm working, so by the sea. And it's because of this that we have this access. So this was there in place when we started to discuss within the university a vision that we would like to have for the city, which was basically turning Porto into a living lab for future internets in the future city. So this was the challenge that we posed ourselves some years ago within the university, and then we gathered as a center, was the Center of Competencies for Future Cities, and we tried to gather a pluridisciplinary team of people from different areas. We also engaged end users, industry, of course, municipalities and local authorities were very important. Porto Digital was very important also. Government, you never forget the government, although, in Portugal the government is 300 kilometers south and we don't want to be with them. We are quite proud of our regional part, but we have to deal with them, and of course municipalities around. This was triggered by, so we went to fetch for European money for this, and we had a start grant of 1.6 million from the Capacities FP7, which is running now. And the results that I'm going to present is on this and on what we build over this. So the objectives were to build Porto Living Lab for future internet, so the vision that we had. Then expand also the potential human. You will see what we have been doing on that. Ensure sustainability, that's what we are trying to do now, and raise international awareness. So the first task that we put to ourselves was build world-class urban scale test beds. So if you want to test a product on a future internet scale, for a urban scale, you need to have test beds like this. So we need people, so we went around to gather people from academia, but also from other areas. And so we went to, of course, guys from engineering, so computations, of course, communications, of course, infrastructure, so roads, buildings, etc., but also to art and design and psychology and other social sciences. So we gather all these people around to try to help us on this vision to turn Porto into an urban scale living lab. And of course we went to companies and tried to attract them, and we attracted some big ones that you already are, you know about them, but also some small ones and some startups. And I will give you some examples on that later. Of course, we had a lot of support from municipality, which is there. Other universities, like University of Aveiro, which is actually was my previous university, where I was for several years. And so several institutes and other institutions. So let me go through you the 3 test beds that we have now in place, and we are still continue to work on it. So we have been working on the vehicular network infrastructure. It's the largest vehicular network in the world until now. Let's see. We are competing, of course. There are other cities trying to get us, but we had a very early start. We have also an urban sense infrastructure I will talk to you a little bit about. And then we have the third part, which is what we call the Sense My City testbed. Let's go to the VANET, to the vehicle network. Basically, we were working with guys from telecommunications, and they were researching on the DSRC standard. And so this direct short-range communication standard, which has a standard from IEEE, so it's a variation of Wi-Fi, as you know better than me, because although my background is on telecommunications, I left telecommunications several years ago and I ran into bioengineering and biomedical engineering. So this standard is quite nice because it has 10 times the range of Wi-Fi and also has very fast commutation. So you actually can jump from one cell to the other very fast. So this was the starting point to develop specific boxes that you could put on vehicles so that they could use a mesh-like infrastructure to deliver data within a vehicular network using, of course, some roadside units to collect the data. So that's what we have done, and So we have built this type of boxes that can go in the cars with 3 protocols. So the SRC in the 5.9 gigahertz, then Wi-Fi, of course, normal Wi-Fi, and also the 4G, 3G, and GPRS modules. It has also GPS, Bluetooth, and accelerometer. Everything is inside there. So it's able to do vehicle-to-vehicle communication using the SRC. Is also doing vehicle-to-roadside using more than one, so the SRC and Wi-Fi, and also vehicle-to-infrastructure so that you can feed the data into the, in this case, using Porto Digital infrastructure. And of course, software and management is there. This is now a spin-off company called Venium, which is, I will show you a little bit about this later. And of course, the roadside units were also developed. So they basically are Wi-Fi and the SRC transmitters and receivers. And they are connected to the optical fiber, which typically is available from the traffic light and of the lightning system. So it's spread all around the city, and you can actually have access to it through these infrastructures. And you can see several examples here on where they are. And actually, if you look closer to some of the traffic lights, you will see these boxes and these antennas. So there it is. There's our roadside units within. If you go around here, you will see some of them. So how it works? So basically, a vehicle that needs to deliver packets can, for example, choose to jump, so hop to another vehicle, and then from that vehicle, so can go multi-hop and then to a roadside unit using the SRC infrastructure, so one of those that I showed you. It can also connect directly to the SRC or use Wi-Fi hotspots that he previously knows that in that location, that's the best open Wi-Fi spot that he can use. Or if nothing is available free, or at least using this infrastructure, which is cheaper, then he can use the cellular 4G that he has inside. So that's basically how it works. So we have done 2 deployments. One, we start with a deployment in an harbor. So an harbor is a little bit, so in the close municipality, just the next municipality in Leixões, Matosinhos, Leixões. And so we approached the guys from the containers moving trucks, and we helped them in being better in optimizing the harbor movement of containers. So we installed 40 nodes there at land and sea, and of course also on buses, on trucks. So 20 trucks, 10 roadside units, 4 on boats. So these are trailers. So they go and get big boats, and 3 on the pilots' boats. So the idea is exactly the same that I showed you. So you can actually make multi-op between the different components. For example, if this car has a dispatch to get one specific container, and in the middle there is a priority coming in, it can immediately be retoured to the other position before he couldn't do that. So you have to go back to the beginning, and they would dispatch again the new container. So they are much more optimized now using this infrastructure. So this is the part where the trucks go to fetch the containers, all these areas. So it's a big area, and we mount, of course, RSUs and onboard units in the truck so that we can optimize all of these. Of course, software has to be on the back to optimize all this. And this is the coverage that we have now for the SRC within the port. So it's basically all available for all the trucks getting there. Sorry. So once we got the experience, and it worked quite well, and we also build up over that, new software, company coming in, spinning off, money coming in. So we thought it's time to approach the next level. And the next level was citywide coverage and citywide approach. So that's what we did during the last year and a half. And we have now in place 680 nodes, so 50 roadside units, so the ones that I showed you that are on traffic lights. We have also 4 on the bus stop parks, because there is a lot of information there that we need to gather. 402 buses, so mostly all of the fleet of the local buses are doing this future internet infrastructure. Also 142 taxis, so it's one of the cooperatives of taxis of Porto was actually willing to put that in their taxis. And also some of the vehicles of the municipality. So the trash trucks, they also have this, and I will talk a little bit later on that, and also the cleaning machines. So this is actually the coverage that we have now. Actually now, it was in December. Now it's better because we installed some more roadside units. And you can see the blue is the DHRC, so the 5.9 giga. And these ones are the Wi-Fi, so the known hotspots that you can use from one operator that we are collaborating with, which has this free zone phone stuff, and also the Wi-Fi from the Porto Digital. So altogether, this is the coverage that you can get within the city. Of course, you have 3G and 4G in all of the city, of course. So then we had the structure to approach the operator of the buses and say, okay, we can have a low-cost opportunity for you to offer full Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi within your buses. So if it was 4G and 3G, it was too expensive. They would never think about it. But using this opportunistic and or hybrid, if you can tell, opportunity, we thought we could do that, and we challenged them for that. So that's what we did. So today, or actually, and it started in September 2014, full operation in 402 buses. You have seen them surely passing here, because these big ones actually come here, right aside here, and they have the STC free Wi-Fi. So this is a result of our project that started in 2012, sorry. So one important data is that we are offloading from the 4G and 3G 40 to 70%, depending on the area you are. If you are in the center of Porto, in this area, or if you go up to the main square, all that area that was in blue in the previous picture, you are offloading 70% of the traffic. If you, overall is 40%, overall the area of the city. We are gathering now, it's 190,000 unique users. So this is counting every day. Every day you have new users. Then the sessions, 1.3 million. Typically 2 terabytes per month of traffic within this structure. 260,000 surfing hours. It was in September to December, so now we are much further than that. And average session was 16 minutes, which is more or less the average stay in a bus in Porto. So actually this number was, from big data, we went to fetch it and went to the bus guy, say, what is the average time that you have a passenger inside? They said, oh, around 70 minutes. Okay, good. So now actually these numbers make sense. So let me just show you a little bit of the results of this in a small video, and then we can go to some results, real results and real examples.
Internet connectivity is a fundamental pillar of today's society.
To be connected in today's world means that no matter where I am, I don't have to think about whether it'll be a black hole, whether I'm paying extra money, whether I'll have connectivity or not. I will just always know for sure that it's a seamless connection, whether I'm on a bus, on the street, in my office, in a city that I don't know. I'm always connected.
The vibrant city of Porto, Portugal fulfilled the key requirements for becoming the first deployment of Venium's technology, a living lab that proved the capability and scalability of Venium solutions. In the process, Porto became home to the largest vehicular network in the world, offering mobile hotspots to more than 50,000 end users.
Venium's network in Porto already has hundreds of vehicles, including taxis, garbage collection trucks, and the entire fleet of public buses. These vehicles not only serve as mobile Wi-Fi hotspots, but they also gather terabytes of data which they send from the physical world to the cloud.
Like the human nervous system, each device in this wireless structure provides valuable data, both in real time and delay-tolerant fashion. This huge amount of data can be monitored, collected, and analyzed, providing valuable insights on a city's status and condition.
The smart city, or the future city, will be a city where the data will be very important in our decisions. So usually we talk about data-driven decision making. I think it's the only way that the cities will be providing the citizens services that are useful for them.
Well, you just heard the head of the innovation in the city, so the city council. So this is a member of the board that has been collaborating, the head of the collaboration with us. And he was telling us that using data-driven decisions would be the best for the future cities and for the smart cities. Other guys call it smart cities. So we are already doing that. Let me just show you some. So this is a map that shows the origin and destination of the sessions that people use in the 402 buses that go all around the city. So we can study all the movements within the people that use buses as mobility, and I'm using it. And actually, I left the car. I only use the car part of the time because I can open my computer and surf really well. I can Skype inside. I'm not kidding. This is really an interesting. So actually, I have two options to go to the faculty. The faculty is on the other side of the city, so I had to cross the full city. So around, if I would go by the closest route, I would get around 40 minutes in traffic. So in the peak, we'll see a little bit of that later. But I go in a bus, but I would have to use metro. But metro still doesn't have this. So I go on a bus that takes 55 minutes, but I'm surfing all the time. So that's the type of options that you can do on these type of infrastructures. So we, for example, have now, and I will show you a small video on that, that shows that the origin and destination of people in this structure and shows how the city is behaving within the vehicle network of the buses. So here, so this is the usage. Let's see how the city awakes. So this is 6 a.m. and you can see these are sessions within the bus system, and the height and color is a number of sessions at the same time. This is the center of the city, and this is Boa Vista, where a lot of the traffic goes of the buses, and this is the big avenue that goes to the sea. So you can, and this is crossing, the bus crossing. Remember that here we already don't have many access, so we are limiting just to the city. So you can see 9, this is the peak, a little bit for 9, and then it goes a little bit lower through the rush hour. Let's see lunch. If people go to have lunch at home or not, if people, commute at lunch. Well, actually, we commute a lot during lunch. So lunch is also a peak hour, not as big as, of course, the rush hour in the morning, which is all concentrated around 8 in the morning, but a little bit more. So this is 2 p.m., so this is already time to be back at work. Let's look at the return part, so return rush hour. You can see that it's not as high as the concentration between 8 and 8:30, so it's more sparse through the, between 5 and 7. So people return in a more sparse way, at least if we believe that most of them are workers within the city, because a lot of tourists are also here, and tourists are also getting access to this and are using it. Let's look a little bit further to the Movida. So later in the night, so there is a possibility to use much less buzz and much less activity, as you see, but still with the same pattern. And then there is a change at midnight. You know why? You'll see now at midnight there is a complete change in the pattern. So this is really the guys that go to the Movida, the pattern is completely different. Because the company is offering the night buses, which is a complete different offer. It's a 1 hour interval, and they are generated from the center and they just radiate, and that's it. If you want, you have to walk or you have to get a taxi. The rest, you only have to have the main axis, it's covered. So you can see that the pattern is completely different. So this is the type of data that we have. And what can we do with it? So we are doing already something, although the project itself and the things that we are doing with it, it's basically an infrastructuring project. And we have to give examples of what we are putting over, and we have, of course, to put new projects over. So that's our objective of this Center of Competencies. So, for example, this is a study of speed of a bus in a certain region, okay? And basically, with this data, we could locate specific problems, so like no traffic light in a specific intersection or other things. And with this, we can actually change and reevaluate to see if there is changes. For example, here you see a map of average speed. So this is the color map of average speed, so low speed and high speed. So you can see the average speed, and you can use it to take decisions. For example, in this case, this was a specific area of Porto, and this is the average speed of taxis and buses. In this case, we joined both information within an area. And then it was very slow in this area. You can see that is the low color, so this was very slow. So there was a change there. So they opened this road here. They changed the way the people were running in this road, and they changed the traffic lights. And you can see that now the speed is much higher. So the average speed of the buses and taxis there is much higher. So this is the type of information that you can provide to the city municipalities and to the city operators so that they can actually optimize, make small changes, see the immediately. I mean, we are giving them a second-by-second infrastructure, second-by-second sensing. So this really starts to make a difference. Okay, so this was the first test bed. Let me jump to the next one. So urban sense. So this basically the objectives of this urban sense is help in city operations in the environment area. So we want basically measuring critical areas where there is ozone and high temperatures during the summer, or flash rain in a specific area. Of course, we are also open this to companies, and there is some examples of that, so that they can validate these business models. So we are, of course, working a lot with the guys from pollution, waste collection management. I will go a little bit further on that later. And we want to go to other areas like smart parking, etc., which is basically something that it's already there for the plan. So we are installing units. We already have 19 units, and we go up to 125. So these units were actually developed in partnership with a company, a Portuguese company, that's now making it a product for future cities. And so basically, it gathers a lot of air quality data, of course, weather stations, so rain and also speed of wind, and then gathers information. Also can act as a buffer of information coming from the sensors, in this case, buses and taxis. So this is exactly how we use it. So to lower the price of the communications, in this case, if you have a delay-tolerant communication, you can use the buses as mules. You know the mules that go, you know, with all the transportation on the back up the mountain? So our buses are mules. So when they pass in front of one of these stations, they collect data, but they don't send it through the immediate link that can be 4G. They wait, and when they are in range of a DSRC connection, they just dump the data. Okay? So they act as mules, and of course this is possible because it's not people on the other side trying to surf the net. So this is because this information, we only need this information, you know, every 5 minutes, or, you know, with a delay-tolerant area. So this is what we are putting in place. So there was some problems. Every project has problems, and this test bed had some problems to come out. So the plan is to have all these sensors in place. Well, 50 units of this type and 10 units of this type with this data, so you can see the type of gases that we are actually monitoring. Particles is very important for pollution. Of course, carbon monoxide is important. Ozone is one of the important gases to measure. And then, of course, other measurements. And this is 2 examples of the units that are in place. From now, I told you already 19, but as we speak, we are putting more. So this is actually new. There was not this type of things in the balcony sensor, but we did it so that it would be, you know, not a pole with a thing in the middle within an urban world heritage classified from UNESCO. You could do it. So this was a way to do it. And these are the locations of so we picked This was done with the guys from ambient engineering, and with the guys from the municipality to place it in the city. So some aspects of this. The sensors, this, for example, is a noise measurement, so it's a microphone to measure the noise level. So that's E, it's under there. And there's some examples of the 19 that are already there. So we want to have, by August 15, we want to have the 125 deployed, so it's delayed. It's already delayed for 6 months already. So but we hope to finish that on August 15th. But I show you a lot of sensing, but we are not sensing the citizens. So that's a problem. I mean, we are sensing everything. Everything. We are sensing vehicles. Now we are sensing, we have cameras for traffic. We are sensing noise, temperature, but not the citizens. So the citizens, it's me, it's you, it's, people that lives in the city. So how can we do that? That's the objective of the third testbed. So, as you know, mobile phones, and you know better than me, are just reaching the population number. ITU tells us it's around 6.8 billion mobile cellular phones for a population of around 7.1 billion. And around 2 billion are smartphones. And actually rising, not as fast as before, but still rising. And these phones, they have a lot of sensors, so we can actually involve the citizens and make the citizens part of this by using crowd sensing on the smart, in this case is our testbed, Sense My City. We have around 200 citizens with it. So basically what we built was, of course, an app that is collecting and has then on the cloud as algorithms for mobility pattern, route similarity. This is actually to facilitate sharing, car sharing, and other type of possibilities of collaboration between people. Also fuel consumption, so people will actually say, I travel by bus. From this point, I'm going to start now, and it will do some fuel consumption computations, knowing the average number of users of the bus, etc. But if I use the car, then of course my fuel consumption footprint would be much higher, and this information is getting back to the user. So if I want, I can go into the website and I will know the carbon that I'm producing using these type of patterns that I'm using on my mobility within the city. Also, Wi-Fi coverage. This is very important because also these citizens are providing data so that we optimize the vehicular network and the future internet testbeds, because they are also providing data on the open hotspots that are available in their location when they are using this app. So this is the numbers for this testbed, around almost 200 users. And then you can see trips, 20,000 kilometers already collected since last year. Number, GPS positions, we also have accelerometer in most of the mobile phones. In the information that is inside cars, we also have data from OBDs, Wi-Fi points. So what is the signal strength in different places in the city? And also here it is the signal level. So here is a map that we did for one of our partners. So that is having these free zone open Wi-Fi spots for their subscribers. And actually, we are using this and we know the hotspots that are within the city based on this app that people are using. Okay, so we are in a world that we are giving the power to you already. So in this Sense My City, we are giving the power to you. So we are doing what is called mobile crowd sensing. It's already used in other areas. But we are actually exploring a new concept here. What was this? Sorry. Let me just stop it. Okay, there it is. So, not the power is in your smartphone, which is crowd sensing, but the power is in you. And what is that? The power is in you. So basically, it's joining the mobile crowd sensing, so you have a smartphone, but we are joining also a concept that is growing, which is quantified self. Who in the room knows what the hell I'm talking about? Quantified self. Ooh, 1. Good. So the impact is going to be bigger than I thought, because I thought, these guys are techies, so they all know about the quantified self. So what's that? Let's go to the quantified self. If you go into an Apple store, I'm sure you're going, you are geeks, so you go. If you would go 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and you would get what are the accessories there that actually monitor me? Monitor my activity, number of steps, whatever. How many are there? Well, 3 years ago, 3. If you go now, everyone is actually getting these small devices to get to know them better, to get to measure. This is the quantified self concept. So if I quantify myself, I actually can know more about me. And with that, I can manage better my health, my wellness, etc. So this is the concept, but it's very self-centric. Okay, so what we are trying to do is, some of these are wearable, so people can actually go with the phone and the wearable. Okay, like for example, these bracelets, wearable. Actually, this is a work from my group that now is a company called Vital Jacket. Also, the watch and watches like this. This is the one I use, actually, Basis. It has not only, so you can see the flashing there. So this is a sensor for PPG. So this measures my heart rate, okay, just in my wrist, and also measure temperature and also the sweating level, okay? And as an accelerometer inside, so it counts steps, knows if I'm running, knows if I'm biking actually, and is estimating, from all of these, is estimating calorie burn. So I can actually, today I'm quite stressed, so my rhythm was around 120, so it means that I will need a good lunch later because, I'm actually spending a lot of energy. Okay, so, and of course, the new hype that you probably heard about, it's the Apple Watch that is now coming, it's already available in the US. Google was also looking into this. This is, this guy, of course. And this guy was actually trying to push this Google Glass for some years. So this was one of the first times that some Twitter guy got this guy in New York wearing this strange thing that actually is a connected device. But I think they didn't do it well because they used this ugly guy to promote it. It's stupid. They should have done this. I mean, they should have done a different, again. So I don't know what's this, but usually it doesn't happen like this. Come on. Should I get out and get in again? Usually that's how you do it. Okay, good. So I was there, so ugly guy. So if they had done this, maybe they had been more successful. So here is the quantified self area, self-knowledge through numbers. This was actually generated by a guy from Wired, an editor from Wired. And they sensed that this was coming, so they generated these groups. And then they spread all around the world, and actually Porto is there, and we are promoting also this type of concept here. There is a lot of apps and accessories for this, so actually people can use it. And we are now empowering citizens doing this new concept of the power is in you. Let me show you how. One of the things we did was you know that you can actually measure stress and fatigue by your heart rate variability. So your heart is beating, but its variability of the beating is an information that physiologists collect so that you know if you are stressed and actually you are accumulating fatigue. So what we did was we put Sense My City in cooperation with a new module, which was the Sense My Heart module, and we could get the people that had the Sense My City app, if they had a connected device, they could actually send this information through to the servers, and we could actually measure the levels of stress and levels of fatigue. So this was what we have done with our students. This was the first project. this guy is going to save the lives of all of these, because this guy is now having an heart attack. And this is a driver, so it's a school bus driver. Okay, now it's stopping. So he's doing CPR. So really an hero, a small hero, a teenager. Okay, so one of the first projects we did was, okay, let's look at the drivers. As we are working with transportation, let's look at the drivers. We start by using students. So we put them in a wearable system that actually collected ECG, so real quality ECG, and we put them going around the city. Then we went to the data and said, let's look at the top of the iceberg. Where is the heart rate variability different, denoting stress? Actually, it came out, this is the Freishu Bridge. When you go out fast, if you go, there is a curve with a very bad releve done, and with a road coming on the other side. So it's really, really frightening. And actually, you will see later, I will see just a video on that. Also, we found that there is a curve, so this is acceleration, this is heart rate variation, and you can see that there is a curve of this. So actually, when you accelerate and when you brake, usually there is changes in your physiology that is indicator of stress. This was published already. So let me show you a little bit of, so this is a trip of one of the students, and there is the hotspot that we found in many of them. Here you will see the height is speed, so the height of this graph, you will see the graph in a minute, and then the color is heart rate. So you see the heart rate more green, yellow, and then here, this is exactly the output of the bridge. You see that is 109 beats per minute there, and lower, and then so it was braking here, and here it was more relaxed with 88. So this is the type of event that we detected on the tip of the iceberg of our 10 students. That was the hotspot for the stressful point in the city, the most stressful point in the city. So, encouraged by this, then we approached the guys from the buses, of course. They were driving, they were professional driving, so let's see what we could do with the buses. So we mount a system, so again with a wearable vital jacket, and then we collect the data, also with a GPS and a push button, so they could mark events that they felt that there was, stressful or a point that they would like to come out when at the end of the shift to say, this happened here, or some guy was not paying and I had to go after him, or things like that. And then this data was all fed, and at the end we would have a questionnaire that they would actually recall or not the events that were there. So this is a typical line of buses, and this is where we detected changes in the stress of the person, of the driver, of the bus driver. So at the end, he would be shown these places. So this is a bus stop. This is speed, of course. So then bus stop again. And here, actually, this was not a bus stop. This was a vehicle was blocking the bus lane, and you had to brake. And we asked them to recall all this. Or we went to the button, push the button, and say, we push the button here. What was this event? And we tried to do this on a large scale. So we went around with a lot of drivers, so 25 bus drivers. It was 32 in the beginning, but only 25 had good data. 2,500 kilometers for 130 hours. We got 86 events of these, and we were comparing a measure of stress level with the ones that they tagged with a button, the ones that they recall at the end, and the others that they don't recall. And we could find actually the ones that they recall but they didn't tag was the ones that were actually more stressful. And at the beginning it was a little bit puzzling. Well, why didn't he push it? Yeah, because when it's really stressful, he just doesn't remember of that. He just really has to attend to the event. This is the result that we got. So this is the stress level, so there, based on this heart rate variability, and the type of events that we are actually getting reports from the drivers, like social interactions. You know what social interaction is? Typically, or you are approaching a neighborhood that you already know you're going to have problems. Okay, typical guys there, they don't want to pay the ticket, they run away or whatever. and we found that even if there was not an event itself, the person, the driver, already had a raising stress there because he knows that it's probable that that happens. And depending on the reaction of the drivers, we could actually recommend to the company to shift them. So others that cope better with that, they could change to this route and the others could change to the other route. So this is the type of map that you get also from this city stress map. So we are looking into and towards a sense and sensible city. So not only all the data collection for traffic, blah, 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 but also in a human area, in the citizens area. And that's now you know why biomedical engineering is working in future internet. So because I love to work in human factors and I love to work on quantified self and monitoring and giving this data for better operations, in this case, to the company. So to wrap up and finish, let me just give you some final numbers on the Center of Competencies for Future Cities of Porto. So we are involving 21 senior researchers, and now we don't have one project, which was the beginning, the capacities. Now we have 10 projects going on with a total of more than, well, actually 3.1 million euros. So we doubled the first grant after 2 years. So we are closing we closed the second year. We have, partners active, and we are also not only publishing, but making theses with students, PhD theses and MSc students, and also in psychology. They are also collaborating with us in sciences. So until December, we had 26 theses that were actually going on. And these are the projects, so we are getting money from not only from national funds, but also European funds and US-Portuguese collaborations with, in this case, with Carnegie Mellon University, and is actually one of my projects. Okay, so I hope I could give you an overview on how we are turning Porto into a living lab for future cities, and I would love to welcome you to Porto not only in a touristic way, but also on a technical way, so that you can join us and do research in this area. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, João Paulo, for this interesting and impressive presentation. And now this time for questions or comments. Please wait for the microphone.
Hello, Brian Nisbet from HEAnet, and thank you for the presentation. Just one thing, you're collecting an awful lot of data there, and collecting an awful lot of data not only on the buses, but also on the citizens of the city. So it's one of those things about this kind of thing where I'm like, wow, how much is the city, how much does it know about what I'm doing and where I'm going and what's going on? So I suppose, how much time have you given to these kind of privacy concerns, and what's in place to make sure that the data on the citizens isn't misused or doesn't become owned by somebody other than them?
Yeah, of course, we also have guys from security within the project, and the data, for example, that is more sensible in this case is the Sense My City data, which actually, it's an app that is collecting your location. In some cases, actually, it's collecting your physiology. So the first thing is there is an informed consent, so the person has to really say that I opt in, and these are the terms that we are telling them what we are using. But not only that, the person can get into the database and do whatever he wants. He can delete everything if he wants, so that's completely transparent. And furthermore, the app have a play and a stop button. So actually, or you can stop the button, the app, so that no more information is gathered. So these are the 3 levels that we are using to be sure that you are opting to give your data or to share your data, in this case. And so the rest of the security is basically using, of course, protected protocols, etc. But that's more the telecommunication guys that can tell you on that.
Thank you.
Alex Reed, ARNet Australia. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's fascinating. I see a number of similarities between it and a project we have in Australia and Tasmania where we're putting out sensor networks over whole communities to collect huge amounts of data of different parameters and so on. But it intrigued me that you've got a very extensive optical fibre network in the city. Why aren't you using that to wire up your sensors rather than collecting this very complex process of mules?
Yeah, as you noticed, not all the city is covered. So if you use the vehicles, then a much larger space of the city is covered. So that's the first reason. Although you have the optical fiber, it runs mainly, as you saw in the map, in the main roads and where you actually have the controllers of the traffic lights. So there is part of the city that are not covered. So for that, we are using the vehicles. Okay, so that's the first part of the answer. The second part is on costs. So if we wanted to extend the network to a more capillary density within the city, it would be much more expensive. And if we wanted to use 4G, it would also be more expensive. The number is around, the structure that we are using, we are getting 12 times less the costs for the operation of the bus network than if it was a 4G structure. So this we thought is hybrid and multi-way. We thought it was the best way to cover in a low cost the area of 41 square kilometers of the city. Actually, I can also add one thing on that. The company that was generated from one of my colleagues, actually two of my colleagues, that did this job, actually is now a very successful startup in Mountain View, California. So you can tell that it's going to scale up. It's going to scale up, and we know it's going to scale up. And Porto will be known as the first, urban-wide internet, hybrid internet in this case, or vehicle-to-vehicle internet. And we are sure of that now because investors are really pouring money into this.
Thank you very much. Your biometric sensors are transferring information to the network. To what extent you have broadened your DSP projects, digital signal processing? For example, do you have projects for speech recognition to recognize a call for help, for example? Thank you.
Okay. As I think I tried to pose to you, for now we are mainly a capacity, so we are providing capacity. So our objective and the project that I showed you on top of the infrastructure are mainly indicative, so they are seeing ahead. So we are not running yet on that, but what we are saying is that Porto is the best place in the world for you. If you have that problem, you come to Porto to test it in an urban scale way. That's our message. So we are only 2 years old. So, I mean, in 2 years we did this. Of course, we're getting a lot of funding, but, well, not a lot. I mean, 1.6 million in the beginning, and now we are executing 3 million. Is it a lot? It's not. Actually, I think it's not. But so my answer to you is, if you have and you want to work on that problem and you want to test it on an urban scale, you come to Porto.
Thank you. The last chance to ask the question. Is there any? So, if not, I thank you again.
Very much.
So that was, I think, a fascinating talk and maybe some real food for thought for some of what Géant might need to be doing in the future. But before we close this session and close TNC 15, of course, it's traditional to invite you to join us next year in TNC 16. And we have on the slide, yes, we do have on the slide, the programme committee members for TNC 16. So can we thank them all in advance for their coming endeavours to prepare a programme for the workshop next year. I think we would all agree that on the basis of the programme we've all enjoyed over the days of this conference, that guys, you have a really hard act to follow. So our best wishes and best of luck in doing that. And now the time has come to let you know where tnc15 will be taking place. It says in my script here that it has been a secret until now. That's news to me. I think that was the only secret. But as soon as I introduce the next speaker, you will know where it will be. So can I introduce young Grunterad of Chesnet, who's going to just tell us a little bit more about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, then we invite you on behalf of Chestnut Association to join tnc15 that will take place in Prague, Czech Republic. Come and join us. Now you can see the date. Come and join us to celebrate 20th anniversary of the creation of Chestnut Association. Our colleagues from FCCN and other organizations has done an excellent job. All facilities work fine, including the weather was excellent. But believe us, myself and my colleague will do our best in order to make TNC16 successful, and we'll try to do our best to make your stay and TNC16 enjoyable. And now please see a short video where you can learn more.
So many thanks, Jan, for that, and I think we will all look forward to going and visiting Prague. I saw on the slide it says that there is room for 2,500 delegates, so maybe we'll set some new records next year. So the only other thing I want to just say about that is that, as is traditional, there is a small gift that you can take away with you from the organisers of tnc15 as you go out. They're just available just outside the room. So as you do leave, please make sure that you go and help yourself to a gift to remind you of next year's conference. And now it's time to say goodbye. We come to the end of the conference. I would just like to say on behalf of both Helmut and myself and all the team that have organised this conference to thank you as an audience and as the delegates for your coming here, of course, but also to your commitment to making this conference a success yourselves by being enthusiastic participants in the formal events and also in the discussions that have gone on in many venues and many bars and many restaurants. Without that, this conference just doesn't work. So thank you very much for your continued support. I guess some of you will be hightailing it for the airport straight away. Some of us that work in the General Assembly of Géant will be working away on your behalf whilst you're enjoying yourself this afternoon. If you are leaving straight away, safe journey home. If you're staying for some more time in Porto, maybe to take in the festival, then I'm sure you will have a very enjoyable time. But thanks for your participation, and we'll see you all next year in Prague. Thank you very much.